Hey everyone, this is Dan, the GM, bringing you episode 168 of What the Dice. So, season 2, right around the corner. What we've got going on in the background. We're getting cast members all set up with their character sheets and logged into our map program so that they can all see all the cool stuff we've got going on. We've got a Patreon that we are updating and modifying, and we have many, many more things working in the background. That's all I've got to say about that. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you get on with this week's episode. I'm Dan the GM. This is What the Dice. And you are absolutely amazing for joining us each and every week. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button if you're listening to this on YouTube. And rate and review us if you are doing this on any of the Podchaser programs out there. It helps us fight those vicious, vicious algorithm monsters. We find ourselves walking up a mountainside. The forest has gotten thinner as the world around us seems to be heating up. We hear an explosion. We hear rumbling of earthquakes as we are continuing up this mountainside. In our hand, a scroll from the storyteller, giving directions to a campsite he needs us to help him at. As we turn the corner, we see the storyteller. He is leaning down on the ground by a tree, his eyes skyward. As we slowly turn our attention skyward, we realize that the volcano is active. It is belting out this black and sickly smoke. It seems to be creating skulls in the sky, as if the underworld itself was ripping from the seams. As we approach him, he gives us a smile as he slowly stands up.
Well, me friends. It seems as if the story that we have been telling has reached a point of a truth needing to be revealed. All the players are in their perspective place. This dice game of luck and chance, schemes of gods and goddesses, have led to this point.
He slowly stands. His cloak begins to shift as he starts to walk away from us. We can feel our presence changing. We look down and we realize that we're ethereal. We're a spirit, a ghost, someone trapped in a existence of non-existence. As the storyteller starts to walk up the mountain towards the volcano, the cloak changes and he becomes taller. His skin turns dark. He begins to see tusks. His armor changes to this black and leather, and he has a strange shim and twist to his step as if he was drunk. He begins to continue moving. He begins to shrink. He becomes more Naga-like with a large bag on his back. A smile on his face as he continues to snake and twirl as the jingle of junk from his pack clinks in the air. And then he begins to shift again, becoming more rat-like. His fur is salt and peppered, and he carries with him a lunch bag. A few steps later, and he turns into a half-orc female fighter. On her back bears two large swords, and she has this walk of a
competent and powerful warrior. The movement continues, and he shifts again to an old fisherman with a long rat-like tail, with a whistle and a hum and a slight grumble, complaining about the younger fisherman. Then, a few steps later, and now he's got a pack on his back. In his hand, a collection of dice and poker chips. And then in his other hand, a monocle that seems to have this eerie call to it. Then a few moments later, he shifts to a drunkard, one that has seen the destruction of Hold's Keep. In his hand, a bottle of this strange purple alcohol that seems to echo the screams of a city being attacked. And then he shifts again to a small kobold with a out-of-tune guitar and a strange but festive hat on his head. And then once he arrives at Kalila, Defibulus, Hugin, and Mugen, he stands 6 foot tall, skeleton with a blackened robe and a scythe in his hand, the blade folded down, and he gives a nod as he looks at the party.
Well, Kalila, Defibulus, I believe it is time for us to speak. I am the one known as the Ferryman. I am Death.
He extends his bony hand towards them as a greeting.
Kalila is going to definitely look up. I'm assuming, is she standing? She might be standing. He's taller than her. We'll look up at him, kind of surprised that somebody came out of what seems to be nowhere after fighting Argaroth so calmly. And it almost takes her a moment to go, wait. Death? She looks up at him, kind of wanting a confirmation.
He gives a slow nod.
Yes, I am Death, or some may know me as the Ferryman. Whichever you choose, you may refer to me as such. But we have met many a time.
Her head's gonna kind of cock to the side, a little confused, like, we have? I mean, she doesn't remember meeting Death. And she didn't see all of the transition. She just saw the skeleton, right?
You can roll a perception to see if you have.
All right. 32.
Yes, you saw the transformation from the rat fisherman to Rune.
You've been following us the whole time?
Well, following isn't necessarily what I was doing. I was following the strings, the echoes. I still have a job to do. I was also ensuring that you made it to where you needed to be.
She's gonna look over at Defibulus for a moment.
Was the blast, just curious, was the blast strong enough to knock Defibulus over, or is he still standing after the blast?
I would say because Argaroth was far enough away and you knew what you were doing, you would be at most maybe like slightly squatted down, kind of like dodging any debris, but I wouldn't say you're on the ground.
All right. Now, Defibulus, not having noticed the person walk up, is complaining irritably that that was such a great use of explosive. It was such a dismal effect.
If she's hearing him grumbling and completely oblivious to Death standing in front of her, she's just gonna reach a paw out and just tap, tap, tap. Hey, tap, tap, tap until he looks.
What? Oh. Who's that? Oh. Hey.
Death. Or, from what he just said and I just saw, which if Defibulus looked at Kalila, she is bewildered. She actually has a look of wide-eyed ears. I don't know if they would be completely back in confusion or straight up in confusion, to be determined. Bewilderment on her face as she's like, also Rune and the old man and the rat with the carriage and the collector and
Are you saying that I didn't do something right and I blew us all up?
You know, that's a really good question. She kind of snaps out of it for a second and looks to Defibulus quick. Are we dead? Did we die in that explosion? We just didn't realize it. She like pats her body.
Well, I mean, I did place the bomb, connected that, threw it at him, stuck it to him. No, I don't think we should be dead. You look over at the very tall figure. Are we dead?
Well, I have not come to reap your soul. I have come to help. You are seeking me, and I have things that you need to know and things that you will need.
I mean, that is a little bit of reassuring that he knows what we need, so...
Fibulus will very cheerfully look at Clyde. Nope, we're still alive then.
Okay, good. Good. She's still a little confused. But is just going to believe in Defibulus and that they're not dead.
Fibulus kind of scratches his forehead. So, you've been following us this entire time, making sure we're getting to where we need to go?
I have my own job I need to do. Many of our encounters were more... there was death and souls that needed to be acquired once it had not chosen to worship the forgotten god. And some were me trying to forget the madness. But it seems as if your fate has led you to where you needed to be. Though every now and then I needed to make sure you got what you needed. Be it a scroll, a hint, or a monocle so simple.
We make your job pretty easy with all the people we end up blowing up, shooting, and whatnot, don't we?
Let us just say that because of you, there are many souls that need to be acquired. But because of the forgotten god, those souls cannot be acquired.
Well, that's rude of him.
Now, you are still in mortal peril. So,
He turns, and with a flick of his wrist, the scythe opens up, and he rips a hole in the fabric of space.
let us head to the spire where we can talk in safety.
Kalila will have a little bit of a shocked look on her face, but take some steps towards it, looking back at Defibulus to make sure he's coming on, going, the spire, isn't that where one of your gun parts is?
I think yes. Yes, it is. He takes out his book and he's thumbing through it while walking. Yep, written right here.
Kalila will nod and go through and hope that doesn't mean her death.
As the four of you enter into this rift, it is almost instantaneous as you are now in a tavern. It is jovial and light, but the people around are spirits and ghosts. Some of them have arrows sticking out of them. Others are holding their own head or setting it on the bar, and they are talking and drinking. As Death steps through, the rift behind him closes.
Well, welcome to Death's Tavern. This is where I bring souls that have things they need to finish. before I am able to move them on to either their next form of existence or let them pass on to whichever heaven they choose.
He walks over to the bar and taps as a bartender that looks like he has been split in two, hands a bottle and a few cups.
I was going to see if she recognizes anybody.
Perception check.
27.
You see a couple of people that you kind of recognize from the Institute. You do see a couple paladins that you have seen walking around the Holy City, but no one that you directly know personally.
Okay.
What you looking for?
Just seeing if I recognized anybody.
Oh, is there anyone here we know? Defibulus will now take a look, see if he recognizes people.
Perception check.
While he's looking around to see if he knows, she goes, well, I mean, some familiar faces, but nobody I know directly by name. Which is reassuring.
37.
Defibulus, as you are looking around, the book in your bag that you got from the bone goddess's temple, begins to shake inside your pack until it literally kind of flails and flicks its way out of your pack before dropping to the ground.
Well, that's unusual. That book's never done that before.
Yeah, I don't remember my book ever being possessed. Defibulus will take a look what's going on with the book.
Are you picking it up or are you just watching it?
He'll pick it back up.
As you reach for it, there is a familiar hand that grabs it at the same time. It's dressed in mining armor and has a pistol on his hip. As you look up, you see your father.
Dad?
He gives you a smile. Well, well, my boy, it seems as if you are, he pokes you, here in the flesh.
Ow.
Kalila's jaw is just gonna drop.
But what are you doing here? Shouldn't you have been gone to the afterlife or something, Dad?
Well, my task ain't done. Dragon rifle still's in one piece.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm working on it.
Well, until it's done, I get to sit and celebrate and enjoy my life and reminisce of all the good things that happened.
Wait, does that mean Mom's here too?
He nods.
What about my other siblings?
They had no unfinished business. They moved on. They are enjoying what they are viewing as their own version of heaven.
I apologize if I said my, the jerk here.
He raises an eyebrow as Death actually chuckles behind Kalila as he is sitting down at a table and is beginning to pour out this liquor that, as it's poured out, it looks like a nebula and a galaxy suspended in this dark liquid.
Because I recognize that liquid.
Death nods.
Defibulus, the brother in which you have been dealing with, sold his soul to the forgotten god. Until the god is dealt with, your brother is bound to a mortal coil.
So he'll never die?
Not until the forgotten one is dealt with.
You're saying I'm gonna have to put up with him again. Great.
Yep, we're gonna have to kill him again.
As well as the Orc of Flames and the King of Cannibals.
So I was right.
Yes. The heroes of Hold's Keep all had a choice when they dealt with the Scepter of Flames originally. They had to make a decision on what they were going to do with the horrors that they saw. Each of them made a decision to live on so that others do not repeat the problems they had. The Lich sold his soul and separated his being into the phylactery. Everest bound his soul to the Lich. Kazimar had already made a deal that he did not know he made. And Leoris sold his existence to the Forgotten One.
Lila will nod slowly, but also remember she was baffled that she's seeing Defibulus' dad and turn around and go, "Oh, hi, by the way, Kalila." She sticks out a paw.
He smiles. He goes, I know. I've been watching. Well, hearing. The ferryman tells a good tale. Every now and then, when he comes up to bring a soul, we get to hear tales of what's going on down there. Sounds like you guys have been messing up all sorts of problems with people, as well as burning down a family bar, or most of a family bar.
Hey,
It was
hey,
a third.
and I got it fixed.
We
It ain't-
did get it.
It ain't fixed yet. The bills have been paid, but starting hasn't happened.
Well, Gramps will understand. He knows I'm good for it.
There's also kind of a war going on.
That's why he's waiting. No point in pulling supplies from the front lines if you're dealing with it. He gives Defibulus a hug before he goes, well, I am going to go hang out with some of the other inventors. There are a lot of goblins up here and gremlins and dwarves that all made interesting discoveries. We get to talk shop all we want until we decide it's time for us to move on.
Well, I will nod, look back at Death, and go, so, aside from, we're gonna need to borrow your scythe, you said you had things that you needed to discuss with us.
Death slowly nods as Defibulus' father gives him another hug before walking off in, talking to some people who are clearly missing parts of them from explosions. Some of them still have their clothing are still either singed or has a slight smoke to it. As Death moves his hand forward, 2 chairs slide out so that you two may sit.
Well, is still a little uneased, and at this point has probably forgotten how wounded she is, but will sit, wanting to know what's going on.
Defibulus is torn whether he should go continue his conversation and follow his father or go talk to Death.
Because if you want to go talk to your dad, I can talk to Death.
Well, his father has all the time in the world. Well, all the time in existence. There is much I will have to prepare, and I will let you travel the spire, for what you need to learn is hidden, and you must learn it through your own means. Life is not paved in gold. It is paved in suffering and learning and echoes from other times. But please, sit. You are wounded and will need a rest before continuing on.
Yeah, Kalaya's gonna look down and just see how badly singed her fur is and just quietly nod.
Defibulus will reluctantly sit down.
Death smiles and slides the drinks over to you.
Please, please, drink. This is the finest mead that time has created.
She'll try it.
as you try it, you can feel the wounds in your flesh just seal, and you can feel your health restoring. It is strong, but flavorful.
She'll at least enjoy it.
Amphibious will. He'll half-heartedly drink, but will still drink up on it and comment that he could probably clean a gun with this stuff.
The ferryman slowly nods.
Yes, I was gifted this from, well, you would know them as Dragonkin. They are known by a different name. They are wingless dragons and warriors and have an empire that spans the stars. But that is a tale for a different time. You two heroes, have a gift. And you will be learning something in my home that will resonate with you. There's much to go over and not much time to deal with it. The tapestry has been tampered with, and only the Forgotten One has the knowledge and the power to do such. But that is something you will learn later. For now, may I answer any questions about your tale that you have needed answering? The who, the what, the where, the why. I know you will need my scythe, and you will get it willingly and freely after the lesson has been learned.
Well, clearly we know the bone god is bad, but why is there a bone goddess, and why does she seem so uninvolved?
Death reaches into his cloak and pulls out a coin. Setting it on the table, he flicks it, and it begins to spin in place.
Knowledge and power, power and knowledge. Different sides of the same coin. There's a saying among the mortals. Power corrupts. Power absolute corrupts absolute. The bone gods were once one being. Knowledge and power, knowledge and strength, tactics and war. Thanks to the mortal realm, they were created. Scholars wanted power to stop a war, and warriors wanted power to start a war. They are the same. As for the bone goddess, she has been involved more than you could ever imagine. She is trying to stay hidden as she has bound herself to something on the mortal lands. But she is playing this game as a master plays chess. She is looking 6 moves ahead and trying to deal with everything that her counterpart is thrown. She has a fascination with the mortals. She believes you to be interesting and pities the mortals that the gods use as playthings. As the bone god, the Forgotten One, he views mortals as expendable pawns for his power grab in the god's realm.
Why is he even, I guess just because power corrupts, why is the bone god so determined to make a power grab in the god's realm?
Gods appear and disappear based on the worship of mortals. If no mortal worships you, you slowly disappear. Your power disperses through the other gods, empowering and emboldening them to give them more control over different aspects of the mortal plane. Forgotten One believes that there should only be one God, and that they should be worshipped absolute. That humans are nothing, they are playthings, they are pawns, and that he should be worshipped, and he should be the only God. The other gods have viewed this as a threat and has removed him from power once before. But he's somehow been able to keep his words somewhere on mortal lands, keeping a single prophet, a single scholar, a single book to keep him in existence. Where his counterpart wants knowledge to be gifted, she has no interest in power absolute. She has interest in helping mortals find their immortality.
She'll look over at Defibulus to see his reaction to this.
He's just kind of rubbing his chin at the moment, like,
So the Nagas were right in that been here, done this before.
He nods.
What happened the last time then? Did they gather? Because they kept saying that they didn't know. Nobody got all of the pieces. What happened the last time?
Now, would not be fair for me to give you answers to your test, now would it? Delilah, your master once told you how to string a bow, but never told you how to use the bow. Why would I tell you how to use the bow before teaching you how to take care of your bow?
Should nod.
This meeting has been a long time coming. It has been interesting watching you two now and your friends work the way you do. It seems as if chaos follows you, and you thrive in it.
Gotta learn to roll with the punches.
Yes.
Or go with the flow.
go with the blast.
Don't stand in front of it. Travel with it.
He nods.
So what's going to happen if the god and the goddess are of the same coin and we take down the god? Would that not take down the goddess as well?
It all depends on what and how you do something. It is possible to remove the disease without removing the cure. The problem is, once you remove the disease also dies. So it depends on if you are willing to accept the chance that a void is created.
That just raises more questions about what the void would be and what it does.
He nods.
Well, that is why you are here. The spire contains knowledges from everywhere.
He slowly stands, corking the bottle. He leaves it on the table and smiles and kind of signals for you to follow him.
Let us begin the tour. You may be here for days, weeks, or months. All depends on you and how you learn and how you grow.
Time is still important and relevant, though.
He stops, looks at you, reaches into his cowl and pulls out a sand glass and starts to move it left and right, making the sand shift and turn before laying it sideways.
No matter which way time goes, it will go. You cannot stop time, but time can be changed. What you are going to do has been written in the tapestry. It is your destiny to deal with this. You will not miss the final fight. You will not gain or lose friends or allies in this place. This is a place that souls come for rest before moving on. So the only way time will move forward is if you deem it so. Do not worry what happens on the mortal plane. Right now, you need to worry about you and Defibulus and what you will learn here. Now, shall I show you around?
Yes.
As he moves towards two large doors, they just kind of swing open. And you enter into a room that is sectioned off. You see paintings of great warriors, and you see chess pieces, and you see card games and checkers, and all manner of games, board games. He stops at one with the painting of the Murdoch, and he begins to set out some cards and some poker chips.
This is where souls that need to be processed come. I find in this place they're able to relive and learn. It is my collection. Until a soul learns, it cannot let go of its mortal. It doesn't understand what is going on. It just wants to relive that one moment over and over and try to change things. But once your string has been severed, you are not able to change anything anymore.
He continues to slowly walk. You walk through a section that is an armory with weapons and armors from long forgotten times, and weapons and armor that seem to have this haze about them.
Why are they hazy?
He looks and he goes,
Well, weapons that have not been imagined yet still exist, just not in the minds of those who did not create it.
So you're saying anything I haven't imagined yet could be in here?
he nods.
Ooh.
Creation is one of the things that mortals excel at. No matter the troubles, no matter the problems that have been thrown in their way, they find a way to grow and adapt. They are one of the few sentient creatures that not only can change their current placing, but can actually create a ripple and change time itself.
He shows you to a small area where there is an inn that is very reminiscent of the inns from to Kalila, the inn in her town, and for Defibulus, the main inn of his town. You can both kind of see each other's where it kind of blends in the middle.
This will be your resting place if you choose to use it. When you have learned your lesson, you will find me.
She'll look back at the... I'm assuming the cards that he was referring to are still in view, or is that a completely different room?
Nope, this is like a kind of an open hallway. You can kind of see everything because the walls also seem to have this like eerie, translucent spiritualness to them.
I'll just nod and look at Defibulus.
I wonder what stuff I haven't invented yet.
Of course you would be curious about that.
He kind of chuckles.
Well, in this place you may touch and toy with anything you see. But remember, only those whose threads haven't been severed can change things.
He turns as he starts to walk away. He begins to sort of disappear into a shadow, leaving you two, your spider, and your rat in this hall.
Because that means us, right? Looking at Defibulus.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Only those whose strings that haven't been severed can change things. That means us, right?
From what I understand of the entire situation, if your thread is cut, you're dead, or you've done something stupid. So yeah, we should be able to alter things.
And there's a lesson to be learned.
There's always a lesson to be learned. That's just how it works with us.
Yeah, that's true. Chose, all right, well, I say we get some rest and heal and start playing this puzzle, whatever it is, after after a rest.
Yeah, resting is probably a good idea.
After the fight with Argaroth, I'm a little cooked.
I would say you were a little more singed than cooked.
Yeah, charbroiled. She looks at her fur.
Nope, you're definitely more singed.
Let's rest and take this on. I'd say in the morning, but she looks around. I don't know if there's a way to tell time, whatever.
There is a window by your bed. It looks exactly like when you look out, it looks like a forest. When you look out of Defibulus's window, it looks more like a mountain range.
Wherever we are, she motions. After a rest, let's play the game? Motioning around.
So I have to rest and can't go and talk to my folks?
No, I'm gonna rest. Or I might come along. Your folks seem interesting. Do you want some private time, or?
No, I think my folks would like to have met you, but you're right, we probably should rest since I think I still don't feel very good for that fight.
Well, you can always do both. You can always go spend an hour or two with them and then come back and rest. It doesn't seem like an hour or two is going to make that big of an impact off of what he said.
Rest first, that way I don't worry Mom if she sees that I'm, like, bleeding somewhere.
All right, so we'll rest, and when we wake up, we'll go talk to your family. Now, you only had the one brother, right? You didn't have any other siblings?
I had 3 other siblings. They were
And
blown
they also died,
Yep.
right?
up. He blew them up when they were traveling across the lake.
But he said that they moved on, so you only have your folks here.
Yep.
Well, at least you know they moved on.
Still wish I could have stopped them from blowing up, though.
Something tells me that's going to be a theme here.
Blowing people up?
Let's rest.
As you lay your heads down on the pillows, you can swear you hear your village, the laughter of children, the sounds of birds in the air. Defibulus, you hear the chug of engines and the sound of industry around you. It is restful and calming. After an hour or two, you feel rested, but you never really slept. You kind of stared at the roof, watching as these solid walls seem to have a purple sparkle to them. It is quiet, It is peaceful. You could still sort of hear that jovialness, the music from the bar. And as your rest ends, you feel refreshed. What would you guys like to do?
Well, if it's only been a couple of hours and Kalila feels just back to perfect normal, I'm assuming I fully heal.
Yeah, you were fully healed when you drank that alcohol.
Oh, okay. She'll go find Defibulous going, I can't really sleep, but I feel rested. What about you?
I'm still trying to determine if I actually fell asleep, but because I do feel rested, but I don't remember sleeping, which really confuses me, which makes me wonder how time really flows. What?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that exactly. See, you're learning.
Well, that's the whole point that we're supposed to learn here. Let's go visit your folks.
Wait, what are we supposed to be learning again?
He didn't tell us. But there's a lesson to be learned here. And I have something curious because he mentioned the poker cards and chips, and then you wanted to investigate what you haven't already thought of yet.
Nah, I thought about that. And then it's not any fun if I know what I'm going to build before I build it.
Not knowing the future, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not inventing it then if I already figured out and did it. So I'm not technically inventing it. I'm just remaking it, which isn't inventing it. That's just as boring.
Let's go find your folks.
Warn ya, my folks think the same way I do.
I'm used to this at this point.
Oh, no, don't worry, my folks are infinitely worse than I am.
They didn't seem so bad when we first met them.
Wait till you get mom and dad together and they're talking.
Isn't that the point? Or do you want to play with the cards of mystery as she points to the location?
Damn it, you had to throw the word mystery in there.
That's what I thought.
Oh, we'll poke with the cards, then we'll go poke mom and dad.
She'll smirk and make her way over to the table.
As you walk over to the table, this little section comes a little bit more clear. You can see the woodworking and the metalworking from the Murdoch. You see the poker table that was predominantly there. And the cards are laid out. You see chips. You see a strange shimmeringness that reminds you of the clockwork robots.
Still never got my clockwork robot.
It's not like we don't know where it is. Well, no, wait. We don't know exactly. We'll still get you one.
You can hear the jovial music from the Murdoch. And you start to hear just echoes and remembrance of the Murdoch itself. What would you like to do?
Take a seat and pick up the cards.
As you sit down, you see a couple of cards in front of you. As you pick them up, you enter into the world around you. You are now an elven man. Your clothing is tailored and form-fitting. And you are gambling. You've been on a winning streak, and the other gamblers in the area are annoyed with you because of your luck. You look at your cards and you smile as you have another winning hand. What would you like to do?
Is curious why she's suddenly an elven man and not herself. Also, is Defibulous there, or did he suddenly disappear?
He is gone. Defibulous, you still see Kalila sitting at this poker table and is holding a set of cards.
You got any good cards there?
You do not hear that, Kalila.
Yup.
You hear a dwarf next to you. Well, you gonna bet, or are we gonna sit here all night? I got money to win back.
Smirk, and since she figures she has a winning hand, she'll go, bet.
The dwarf goes, all right, fine, all in. He shoves a bunch of chips forward. A couple others go. The other two go, nope, too rich for my blood. I'm out. Nope. I fold.
It's all right. All in.
As you push your chips forward and flip the cards, the dwarf slams the cards down and just walks off, leaving you to your wins. Time seems to ripple around as you are now looking out the viewing deck of the Murdoch. It is cold outside, and they are landed in one of the docks. You're smiling to yourself as you pat your sack of gold, and you begin to walk off. As you exit the Murdoch, there's a sudden sharp pain in your back as you drop to the ground, and you see someone reach down, grab the gold, and run off. Then you are snapped back to reality, sitting at this poker table with the cards in your hand. And Defibulus is standing next to you.
You know, it's kind of rude. I was asking if you had a good hand, and you just kind of stood there, or sat there and stared at your cards.
Sure, that's because I didn't hear or see you for a little bit.
How could you not hear me? I'm like 5 feet from you.
Pick up the cards and find out.
Are you
If you're
picking up the same set of cards, or are you picking up a separate set of cards?
He will pick up a different set of cards.
As you sit down and you pick up a set of cards, you're a halfling. It's you and one other person at the table. Both of you are winning and losing in equal measure. A tall elf comes and kneels down, or kind of kneels next to you and whispers, "Is it time?"
Time for what?
He just kind of raises an eyebrow. You know, is it time?
Sure.
He nods, and she kind of stands and walks off. A couple minutes pass, and she walks past you with a wink. Time ripples, and you are sitting in a guardhouse, arms shackled behind your back. A guard is berating and arguing with someone. As you look down and you see the face that you would recognize as yourself as the halfling wanted for treason. It seems as if there was an attempt on a king's life, and it looks like the clues led back to you. As the guard turns, he draws a blade, and you are snapped back to reality.
Worst poker game ever.
See? So rude. You didn't answer me when I asked if you could hear me.
Nope, I was too busy being a halfling that got charged with treason for murdering a king.
Yeah, and I suddenly was a elven man playing poker on the Murdoch. Won big, and then later got stabbed and killed. Somebody wanted their money back.
I wonder if you're the same person that apparently I got implicated in the murder of.
I don't know. What I want to know is what does that have to do with anything with me, us, you, what's going on? Like, why show me this? If we're supposed to be learning something from this, what were we supposed to learn from that?
Well, are there any other hands at the table?
There are 2 other hands at the table.
Thanks, voice in the sky.
She'll set the cards that she has in her hand down and pick up another set.
As you pick up the other set, you're sitting at a table. Across from you, you see a halfling. You see a dwarf dressed in mithril, and you see Baka Baklava. And then you realize you can see yourself kind of walking around and eavesdropping. And then you realize that this is back when you were on the Murdoch.
She'll suddenly pay a lot more attention. So she's who in this one? She's Baka?
No, you are seeing Baka.
Okay.
You are...
She's not the mithril dwarf that hit onto Fabulous.
No.
She's not Stranger Danger. She's
No.
not Baka.
No.
So she's the racist human guy. Gullcat.
Yeah, you recognize... You kind of have that realization of you're a Gullcat. As you turn and you see the elven wife walking around, you get this idea of you could exploit her for more money. You've already gotten a couple of platinum from her from the last time you saw her. You could get more. You know the family secrets.
Kalala's gonna go with it. Because she's curious as to what he potentially said to her that day. So she wants to see if she's just kind of along for the ride or if she's in fully control. So she's going to go with it. She'll finish her hand and get up and, I guess, approach her.
As you walk towards her, she kind of glares at you as she stops. The husband and the mistress walk off, and she gives a slight snarl. What? In your head, you can feel the words come towards your mouth but seem to stop. I want more money. You want the secret kept. I want more. But the words seem to linger on your lips.
She'll let them roll off. She won't fight it because she's curious.
As you say it, she visibly gets angry and then gives a slow sigh. Okay, fine. I'll meet you in your cabin tonight. I will bring the money, but this is the last time. You will leave my sister alone, or else. You get a cocky smirk as you nod. There's a ripple. You are now in Gullcat's bedroom, sitting on the bed. You've just had water thrown in your face by the steward and kind of chuckle it off as there's a light knock on the door.
She'll answer it because she remembers that's what Gullcat did.
As you answer the door, she enters. An argument ensues, then she produces a magical spell and strikes you to the ground. As you can feel your body freeze and crystallize, you are thrusted back into your reality.
Huh.
Who'd you end up as this time?
Gullcat.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
She goes, hold on, I'm going back in. And she picks up the same deck of cards.
As you pick up the same deck of cards, you find yourself at the poker table. You see Baka Baklava, his partner, and you see the dwarf, all gambling and fairly jovial. In the corner of your eye, you see you see yourself walking around, and you also see the elven wife coming up the stairs with her husband and the mistress. You get this thought. You could exploit more money from her. Only a couple more platinum. What would you like to do?
This time she's going to stay at the table and keep gambling.
There's a moment where you feel the urge to get up and you shake it off and you start to play your game, the game. Things continue on without a problem until that night. You're in the hallway, coming up the stairs towards the gambling floor, and you see the mistress or the elven wife, arms crossed, glaring at you. As you walk up, she goes, "I told you, I never want to see you again." What, are you going to take more money from me? make it seem like my family is nothing but escorts and gutter trash. She glares at you before turning and walking off.
Gonna resist the urge to say anything and just keep going to my room. Or, well, Golcat's room.
You look around the casino floor, shake your head, and you return to your room. As things slowly come to an end, you find yourself sitting or exiting the Murdoch at the Lizard Folk village. You have a smile on your face as you had beaten the dwarf in the last game of poker, and he is walking down the steps and off towards the new casino. Behind you, you can hear the arguments of the dwarves trying to figure out who is going to be the new captain and what they're going to do with the Murdoch with no captain and several bills that need to be paid and a missing deed.
Does that mean Baka didn't buy the airship?
It means he did not win the last hand and also didn't win all of the money Golcat had won, because there was a bet between Baka and Golcat.
Because he was going to go back to the room, so this time he stayed at the table, so that game never happened.
Mm-hmm. And since Golcat never died, he never won, or Baka never won that last hand against Golcat.
Huh.
As Golcat enters the Lizard Folk casino, the world flickers and you get sent back to reality. This time, you are now standing and you see Golcat sitting at the table, staring at the cards, looking around, confused, before he shakes his head, picks up the cards, and disappears back into the poker chip.
Did she permanently change something or just temporarily?
It seems like it was only temporary.
Did Disfibulus see Golcat suddenly there?
Yes.
Did you just bring Golcat back or something? Because he was just sitting there now.
Apparently.
Ew.
So, okay, the first time, I think it's temporary. The first time, I was Golcat, and I followed along with what I felt Golcat would have done. Like, there was the suggestion of words that I should have said that I guess Golcat said. And it ended the way that we figured out. He went back to the room, lost a bet with Baka, she showed up, used a magic ring, and killed Golcat. And I came back here. Then I picked up the cards again, and this time I fought against and did all the opposite things. I didn't get up and insult her and demand more money from her. I stayed playing poker, which Baka never won then any of the money. So he never bought the Murdoch. And everything was different when it landed in the lizard folk camp.
Interesting.
It changed everything.
Also, so who was the first hand you had that got stabbed?
The elven man.
Yeah.
Who was that guy?
You don't know.
I don't remember who that guy was. I think he was just one of the other random passengers.
But I don't recall any other random passengers being... I remember Golcat dying. The captain was strangled.
Yeah, she's gonna think back. Who was this elven guy?
Give me a perception check.
Nat 1.
You have no earthly idea.
Say Defibulus will make an attempt to see if he can recall him.
Okay, give it a roll.
What am I rolling? Is this what?
Perception.
Okay.
Yeah, perception.
So 34.
With a 34, you sit there and think about it, and as you kind of do that whole like thinking, fingertip on the lips, looking around, you notice something. The picture of the Murdoch is different. When you first saw it, it was the Murdoch and the Murdoch that you remember. Now, it's the Murdoch, and it has been grounded. And you see large signs of foreclosed and for sale. Murdoch is in bad shape. And as you look around, you start to see newspaper clippings, or the equivalent of newspaper clippings, talking about how the Murdoch captain was murdered. No one ever found the murderer, and that the ship, because they couldn't find the last deed, had to be shut down. The poker table in front of you is in less repair. Looks like the colored fabric is peeling up. The cards are worn and chipped. The chips themselves are cracked and sun-faded.
Fabulous is looking at this very puzzled. This time I'm seeing the picture of the Murdoch, and it's much, much different now.
Maybe it wasn't temporary.
The
She'll
Murdoch's
pick up the cards again. She goes, 1 second. And she's going to go back in his goal cot and do what she remembers is the correct thing. So get up, insult her, go to the room, get murdered.
As the body freezes and you fade consciousness, you are snapped back. And the picture is a jubilation celebration. You can see a painting of the Murdoch on the Godspell with under new management. You see Golcat and you see the dwarf, the platinum dwarf, shaking hands, and you see that there's information underneath. Under new management, the orc Baka has sworn to uphold the traditions of dwarven culture and make the Murdoch and its crew like family. With a contract with the dwarven mithril kingdoms, the Murdoch has been set for refurbishing and updating.
Is it back to normal?
Yep. Looks like Baka's running it. It's getting refurbished and everything.
She goes, all right, this time I went back in and undid what I did from the last choices. So I was the rude Golcat and did the things that I remember in the first one going the way it was supposed to. The way that we remember it was.
But all right. But that still doesn't answer the one thing, though.
What?
So, pictures before we started, the picture was like it is now, as we remember it. But the first hand you picked up, some elf got stabbed. You said.
Yeah, murdered.
Well,
Was I the captain?
No, he was strangled. So
Who else? But there was nobody else murdered on the Murdoch, wasn't
not
there?
that we ever noticed.
It was just Golcat and the captain.
But you said he got knifed.
Yeah. And there was a body and somebody took the gold off of me. I mean, pick up the cards and see if you have the same thing.
You pick up the cards that she started with and see where it goes.
As you sit down at the table, you see you've got a winning hand. You've been on a winning streak all night. You look over and you see the other players. There's a long moment as you kind of smile to yourself as you look at your cards. There's a dwarf next to you. You gonna play the cards or not? I'm down and I want to get my money back. Come on, let's go.
Defibulus will play through, it seems to need to play out.
As you play the winning hand, he seems to get frustrated, slams his hands down, and walks off. You smile to yourself as you gather up your gold and your winnings. The world around you changes, and you are now exiting the Murdoch. You are heading down a city street with a smile on your face. Then there's a sharp pain in your back. As you hit the ground, and you could see a pair of boots kneel down. You can feel them grab your gold off your hip, and they run off into the darkness. As the world fades, you come back to your time frame.
Ugh, that looked painful.
See?
So, one second, he's going to go back in, and this time he's going to fold and stop instead of continue on.
As you get into the world and you decide, no, I've won enough, you set your cards down and fold, the dwarf laughs as he wins and gathers his stuff up. He gives you a shake on the hand and he goes, "You know what? You and I, we're gonna go places." Time fast forwards, and you see a tavern. It is being built from the ground up with ironwood and mahogany. You don't know where you're at. You just know that this is now your property. You've decided to open up a tavern near a budding city. As you begin to work and build, you are thrust out. Give me a perception check.
29.
With a 29, you look around to try to see what has changed, and you find a clipping. Elf and dwarven cities combined to create their first co-ownership on the edge of the ocean. As you read, you notice that there's a side marker. Due to the popularity of this tavern, the city of Holdskeep has decided to move its ordinances and move its business and trade port to this tavern due to its popularity. As you look around, you see others. The city of Holdskeep has fallen. As you look, you see a map, and you see what would be elven and ratfolk land has now been indicated that it is owned by orcs.
While he's in there, Kalila's watching the posters of things that are around to see if her world changes.
Give me a perception check.
39.
As you watch, you can see that as Defibulus is in there and making decisions, the papers are burning. Looks like they are being set aflame, but being replaced at the same time. You see pictures and maps changing. It seems as if what happens in these are creating some kind of new reality.
Her ears are just gonna go flat as she waits for Defibulus to snap back out of it.
Fibulus will continue until it kicks him out.
It eventually kicks you out.
Ugh. Well, it's a good thing that guy died.
Well, you're gonna have to go back in and die about him again as she points to everything that's different now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what I was seeing. It's like, this guy lives in Holdskeep, everything gets screwed up. So, I'll be back.
Uh-huh, go die.
She's so jovial about that.
Kalila's sitting there with her elbow on the table, her chin on her fist, with her ears flat with the go die, while staring at the poster waiting for it to return back to normal.
As Defibulus goes back to correct the mistakes of the past, we will end this episode here.
We find ourselves sitting at a pub, glass in hand, and we look around. Spirits, warriors, inventors, adventurers, guards, people chatting, talking of their lives and of all that they've accomplished. As we slowly turn, we feel a presence next to us as Death, the Grim Reaper, the ferryman himself, leans his scythe on the bar and smiles at us, holding up a glass to cheers with us.
Well, 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 me friends. It seems as if you have finally come to a place where you understand. You did much in your time. You were an amazing adventurer, a god, a protector of people. But there is a tale that needs to be told, and spirits that need to remember. Well, me friends, you may not have remembered what severed your thread, But there is a tale I wish for you to hear. For our tale is almost done, and then more things will happen on. My friend, death isn't the end. It is just a beginning of a new chapter.
He places the book down on the table and raises his glass.
And of course, me friend, as always, may the dice gods bless your every roll.
We here at What the Dice would like to thank Paizo for creating Pathfinder, Epidemic Sound for our music, as well as Sirenscape for our sound effects. If you would like to reach out to us, you can do so on Facebook at What the Dice Pod, Twitter at What the Dice Pod, and of course email whatthedicepod@gmail.com. And if you liked our little adventure, please share us with your friends and rate and review us.